Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our Say Yes to Life, our exploration of right living through Swamiji's music. And today we have a treat, one of my favorite songs, Emerald Isle. And so let's begin together with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, dearest friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar, beloved Guru, Paramhansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, and our friend Swami Kriyananda, humbly we lay the flowers of our devotion at your feet. Guide us today. Bless our hearts with deeper understanding of how to live in your consciousness. Teach us to see the world as you see it, as waves of light and vibration of divine consciousness. Help us to be reminded constantly of your love by every passing circumstance, by every relationship, by every moment, by everything of beauty, by every experience of sorrow. Help us to see your divine face. Om. Peace. Amen. So like I mentioned, today we'll be singing the song Emerald Isle, which is perhaps on a very short list of most commonly sung or most well-known songs of Swami Kriyananda. And it's been a song that I have enjoyed for years. It's been one of my favorites. My friend Ramesha sings this often, and he sings it incredibly well. There are many wonderful recordings of him as well as Swami Kriyananda singing it, and it's just a wonderful piece of music. And it's one that I have enjoyed going into a little bit more deeply in the last few months because superficially it paints a charming picture of perhaps Ireland, even as the song proclaims the Emerald Isle, which is sort of Swami's poetic way of describing Ireland itself. But I think underneath its lyrics and underneath its melody, it's actually giving us the key to a real divine experience, and one that when I began to taste it really changed the way I've related to this song and related actually to the world. And just to remind myself and remind ourselves, this is an exploration not just of the incredible music that Swami gave us, but it's really an exploration of how to use his music to change our consciousness, to change the way we live, to help us embrace life in a more divine way. And this song really has helped me to do that. And I think after we go through it together, it might help you too. So let's sing through it once, and like always, if you do know this piece of music, please join me. In fact, as the lyrics say, join me in singing of that Emerald Isle. And one of the convenient things about doing this online over a broadcast is each one of you is conveniently in the safe walls of your own home. So you don't have to worry about how you sound or if anyone's going to judge you for the quality of your voice. No one will. Only God will love it for your effort. And so please sing with me if you know the lyrics. And if you don't, let's go inside and let's try to listen not just with our ears but with our heart and see what invitation this piece of music is giving to all of us. Now, this may be obvious and very low-hanging fruit, but one thing I'd like to say before we jump in and sing this together is it actually took me a surprisingly long amount of time to realize that the first two words, come here, is come listen, not come towards me. And perhaps it's a clever double entendre, but thinking of it, listening to it as come listen while I sing you of Emerald Isle has actually really helped me tune into this piece, and we'll go into that a little more in a moment. But for now, let's just take that as we sing together. Come here while I sing you of emerald hills, of valleys and meadows so fair, that all who have seen them have carried away. Memories in their hearts, friends, like the lilacs of May. Oh, my song is the story of the lilacs of May. My song is the story of deer on the hills, of larks that soar seeking the sun, of nightingales lifting the curtain of night, as with music they bring down heaven's blessing of light. Oh, my song is the story of God's blessing of light. Come join me in singing of that emerald isle, of flowers that like jewels besprinkle the lea, of waterfalls eager to embrace the wide sea, as we with our Maker united would be. As we with our Maker reunited would be. Come here while I sing you of emerald hills, of valleys and meadows so fair, that all who have seen them have carried away. Memories in their hearts, friends, like the lilacs of May. Oh, my song is the story of the lilacs of May. And let's rest in that vibration of this song for a moment. Peace. Amen. Isn't that a wonderful piece of music? It's such a great adventure. It's always very enjoyable to sing it from front to back. And this song, like I mentioned, on the surface paints the picture of an ideal version, perhaps of Ireland, or of any sort of astral vision of this earthly plane that we live on. And he talks about the emerald hills and valleys and meadows so fair. And it's the poetry just in and of itself is wonderful. But it implies something deeper. And I'll actually just read the lyrics together so we can appreciate them. And then I'll point out a few of the lyrics that I think to me are key. First, he says, "Come here, while I sing you of emerald hills, of valleys and meadows so fair, that all who have seen them have carried away memories in their hearts, friends, like the lilacs of May. Oh, my song is the story of the lilacs of May." And already I begin to ask the question, whose song is this? Who's singing here? Who is the one narrating this song? Who is the one rendering the invitation to us? Because it's actually uncommon in Swamiji's music that the songs are told from a first-person narrative perspective. This song is somebody singing to you, somebody singing to us, each of us. And as someone, if I sing this to an audience, I get to try and play the role of this consciousness that is inviting us into a new state of being. And it's actually something I have pondered for a while, tried to understand what is this state of consciousness that is singing this song to us. And actually one day, very appropriately, I was sitting on top of a valley and meadow so fair. I was on top of a hill in at our valley farm in the Bay Area, and I was looking out over the rolling green hills and the valleys, and it was gorgeous, and in the distance was the ocean, and I was just in a seclusion, and I was sitting with God and just trying to feel the presence of God, and suddenly I understood who was singing this song. This is God's invitation to us. This is our own superconscious self singing to each one of us to interiorize and to be able to see all around us the living presence of God. This is a constant invitation from our higher self. This isn't a bard who wanders into a town and sings because he's had a wonderful experience of a far-off isle called Ireland. This is our own capacity to interiorize our consciousness to the point where we see God in everything. And it's really, that was so beautiful to me, because we often hear Yogananda or Swamiji and many other of our teachers and representatives telling us that we should learn to see God in everything. And my mind says, well, that sounds wonderful, but how do I do that? How can I teach myself to see God in everything? I would love to be able to look at the flowers and see God smiling there. I would love to be able to look into the eyes of my friends and feel Divine Mother's love. But my heart can't yet make that leap. Why? And it's not something we can do by idle wishing or by just hoping it will come, but it's something that we can move towards through the right application of our energy, our awareness, devotion, and in this case, I think this particular piece of music is the vibrational key to learning to see the world in this way. So he goes on, our narrator, he says, "My song is the story of deer on a hill, of larks that soar seeking the sun." And already we can see the poetry is inviting us to see the world not as mundane, but as a divine symbol. How many of us have seen birds flying, and how few of us have thought that they're seeking the sun, that they're seeking the sun of enlightenment, of beauty, of all the things that the sun can symbolize. He goes on, "Of nightingales lifting the curtain of night. As with music, they bring down heaven's blessing of light." What incredible poetry is that? Again, how many of us listen to the call of the nightingale and feel that it is their song that lifts away the darkness and brings the dawn? But that's what this song is inviting us to do, to live in a truly mystical dance with God, where everything becomes a vehicle of His silent voice. And then he says, "As with music, they bring down heaven's blessing of light." Isn't that beautiful? That's what music is meant to do, to bring down the blessings of the astral world, of God's vibration into our lives. And that's certainly what this song is doing. If you could imagine, there are some people actually, they call it a malfunction in the brain. I think it's some astral siddhi from a past incarnation. But there are actually some people who see colors when they hear music. Did you know that? That when they hear certain pitches, they see it as waves of color. And so when they go listen to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, not only can they hear it, but they can see it as a display of light. And I actually read a really charming account that one person had that trait, and one of their best friends was deaf. And they would go to music together, and the friend who could see light would describe to his deaf friend what the music looked like. And he would describe, he said, "Oh, this song is like this color," or "this song is like that painting," because they convey similar vibrations. But Swamiji's music is truly like this. It is conveying an astral ray of light and a subtle vibration that if we tune into, as with music, they bring down God's blessings of light. And what a wonderful thing to be able to feel, not just to think, but to actually, when we sing this, to feel this is a transforming ray of God's grace, that if we can tune into, it can transform us. He goes on, Oh, my song is the story of God's blessing of light. So he keeps telling us what his song is. My song is the story of God's blessing of light. My song is the story of the lilacs of May, is the first verse. And then he goes on in the third, come join me in singing of that emerald isle, of flowers that like jewels besprinkle the lea. And again, what a beautiful way to live, to see a rolling hill and to see the flowers as jewels shining in the light. He goes on, of waterfalls eager to embrace the wide sea, as we with our Maker united would be. This is no beautiful poetry about Ireland. This is a deep invitation to return to God as we with our Maker united would be. Wouldn't it be wonderful to see all of life as a symbol for divine awakening? And that's actually what Swamiji says it is. He says nothing in this world has any meaning in and of itself, but it only has meaning because of how it reminds us of God and of our divine search. And many people suffer from despair or from purposelessness or from a sense of emptiness in their lives. But that needn't be so. If we tune into a song like this, everything becomes wonderful. Everything becomes beautiful. And I dare to say, even then, the challenges, the sorrows, the sufferings begin to have the undercurrent of beauty in them. Just like in a piece of music, dissonant notes create tension that are then resolved at the end. He goes on into the fourth verse. Come here, it's just a recapitulation of the first, while I sing you of emerald hills, of valleys and meadows so fair, that all who have seen them have carried away memories in their hearts, friends, like the lilacs of May. And I like to think that he's not just talking, when he says that all who have seen them have carried away, that he's not just talking about the earthly plane, but he's saying everyone who learns to see God in this way carries in their heart memories forever of the lilacs of May, of the blooming flowers of God's presence within your own heart. And so what is the song that he's singing about? Oh, my song is the story of God's blessing of light. Oh, my song is the story of the lilacs of May. And what is this song? This is the song of all of our souls seeking God. It's the song that's always being hummed in the background of your own consciousness, but we're always just a little too restless to tune in and feel it. And my experience of this piece of music when I was on that seclusion, there I was on top of a rolling hill and looking at valleys and the ocean in the distance, and a quietude slipped over me. And suddenly I could feel underneath the restlessness of my own heart the essence of this melody. And I had a real moment of communion with this song. And I realized that it was much more than I ever thought it had been. And I would love very much to be able to share that with all of you because it was such an uplifting and inspiring moment. So now, because the melody too is so beautiful and just heart-opening, let's listen to the melody and just listen and feel for what the melody does in your own heart. Because remember, I actually heard somebody say, as I think I shared in one of my earlier broadcasts, thoughts make you, or words make you think thoughts. Music makes you feel feelings. And when we can put them together, they said, music with lyrics help us to feel thoughts. And so let's now tune in first just to the feeling, the bhav, that Swamiji is conveying through this piece of music. And then we'll combine it with a deeper understanding of the lyrics and the invitation that they pose, an invitation to see God, to be with God, to commune with God in everything. And we'll see what happens to our experience. So let's sit upright, close your eyes, and soften in the heart. Lower any barricades of concern or old hurts, and let's allow ourselves to be touched by this divine melody now. And now let's sing it one more time together. And like I mentioned, I think a big key of this song actually lies in that second word, come here. Let's remember that this melody is always playing in the background of our own heart, if only we can take the time to listen, to still our hearts, and to hear its divine melody. Come here while I sing you of emerald hills, of valleys and meadows so fair, that all who have seen them have carried away memories in their hearts, friends, like the lilacs of May. Oh, my song is a story of the lilacs of May. My song is the story of deer on the hills, of larks that soar seeking the sun, of nightingales lifting the curtain of night, as with music they bring down heaven's blessing of light. Oh, my song is the story of God's blessing of light. Come join me in singing of that emerald isle, of flowers that like jewels besprinkle the lea, of waterfalls eager to embrace the wide sea, as we with our Maker united would be, as we with our Maker reunited would be. Come here while I sing you of emerald hills, of valleys and meadows so fair, that all who have seen them have carried away memories in their hearts, friends, like the lilacs of May. Oh, my song is the story of the lilacs of May. Let's pause and feel for a moment what this song has done to our heart's feelings. And let's try to offer that awakened awareness from the heart center up to the spiritual eye in self-offering. And I invite each of us to sing this song this week, to try and hold its melody in your heart, to try and see all of life as a symbol of God welcoming us home, to listen for this melody playing behind the restlessness of your heart, and then to join it in the singing of that emerald isle until, like he says, like those waterfalls, we are united with the divine consciousness. So until next week, my friends, I hope you enjoy this piece of music, and I look forward to next time.